Welcome to BS with Joe. There's BS.
And there's Joe. All right, what are we talking about today, Joe?
The Office of Management and Budget. We all know that President Trump nominated Russ Voigt to be the director of the Office of Management. OMB is what we call it. What a lot of people may not know is he was the assistant director of OMB in Trump's first term.
Yes.
So he's very familiar with the position, knows exactly what should be going on there.
Mm-hmm.
He was on Tucker Carlson's show,
Mm-hmm.
I think right after the election.
Yes.
And that was a great show.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really a down-to-earth guy. And what really stood out to me on that particular show with Tucker is he was talking about how with the deep state, which a lot of people don't seem to understand what the deep state is. It's unelected bureaucrats that have basically become career positions, long-term career positions that really shouldn't have any control or power, but yet are dictating policy, and which is why you've got like the EPA going out and making their own laws and making their own rules. The ATF going out and saying, these folding stocks are illegal, and the Supreme Court's like, wait, you can't say that. You don't have any authority.
Right, Chevron deference. And,
yes.
And yeah, the deep state, what the deep state is you look at all these different agencies that's been created. Every year, it seems like the government's creating another agency to regulate this or regulate that. They're regulatory agencies. Doge, yeah.
Although, in their defense, Musk and Ramaswamy are not going to be federal employees.
Well, it's not even. Doge isn't even going to be
it's not even a real thing.
It's not even a real thing. So what they are doing is they're an outside source that isn't going to be funded by the government.
Right.
That's going to look into government spending. There's also a department for wasteful spending in the government, but it apparently doesn't do much, if anything.
Well, that brings us back to the Office of Management and Budget.
Yep.
So basically, what he can do is imagine a guy sitting at a switchboard, okay, and he's got all these different, okay, you get money, no, you're toeing the line, I'm taking your money back. This is basically what the OMB does.
That's it.
When President Trump goes to Russ Vought and says the FBI is not following the program, Russ Vought can say, okay, well, there goes their budget.
Yeah, pull their budget.
Yep.
Well, and some budgets are regulated by Congress. So not just the president can pull their budget, Congress can pull the budget. Or fund their budget.
Right. So you'll have the deep staters that are trying to go around what Trump is trying to do. And then the Office of Management and Budget is one of the main tools that they can use to weed out the deep state and find out who they are and pull their teeth.
Follow the money.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's not just the spending, but it's also all the regulations. And this is where RFK comes in. RFK, he's wanting to take things out of food that we've put in food, and they allow us to put in food. And a lot of these food makers, they want these items in food that could cause all kinds of health problems because it make it last longer. It could stay on the shelf.
We have a lot of additives in our food that are illegal in most countries.
Right. And here's the rub on that. So if you're a new company and you're trying to make it with these big conglomerate companies, the FDA is going to tell you have to add this to your food.
Right.
And it's a poison.
Yep.
In order for it to be on the shelves and be sold. That goes back to what we talked about last episode with the Overton window, with authoritarian.
That was 2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago. Yeah.
Although it's still here.
It's still here. We're trying to push a lot more content out there for you guys. So that way, if there's something you don't like or there's something you like, and you can comment on this show or that show on what you like and what you didn't like.
The other thing I really wanted to talk about in this particular episode is Trump's economic plan.
Yes.
And where it comes from, and where the fact that the ideas that Trump is using are battle tested. He knows what he's doing.
He does know what he's doing.
And I mean, like when Trump came into office the first time in 2016, he was talking about the fake news and all this other stuff. I was one of those people who was like, the Orange Man is crazy.
Yeah, and you're right. He has all these plans, but he's also a businessman.
Right.
And I think our country has needed somebody that's a businessman in office for a long time.
Right.
And the first time, he didn't quite know what the deep state was or who's in the deep state. Right. And also, like,
and I don't think he had a solid economic plan. He did a pretty good job.
He did. And that's the thing is, like, the cabinet members, he didn't know who he wanted to put in different cabinet states or members, and he didn't know if they would be a good fit or not. And so he actually left some cabinet members from the previous administration that wound up scuttling part of his plans for his administration.
I don't know if you noticed, but when Trump was doing the celebrating after the election in Mar-a-Lago, the president of Argentina was there.
Malays.
Yes.
Afuela.
Yes. And I was like, I wonder why he's there.
Yes.
So I looked into it. He's there because he and Trump share a lot of the same economic ideas.
Oh, yeah.
And it all comes down from what happened in Chile in 1975.
Yes. Tell us about that, Joe.
Augusto Pinochet was a military dictator he had just come into power in 1975 in Chile. And he's a military dictator. He really didn't know what was going on economically. So he found people that did. And he hired a group called the Chicago Boys. And the Chicago Boys came down to Chile, and they basically put a liberal economist supply side economy in place that was based on Milton Friedman's ideas. Feel free to Google that.
I might look that up. I don't know much about it.
Milton Friedman is he was a professor in economics that, and this is basically what he was all about. And his idea was get inflation under control. Okay, privatization of corporations, privatizations of property, lower the taxes, and let the economy flourish. And it worked. Chile, at this point, is easily the strongest democratic republic in South America. The thing is, Pinochet did the right thing for the country to his own detriment because they kicked him out of power after the economy was fixed.
Yes. And with that, it goes back to if you're told to do something and you don't want to do it, and you have to do it, you're not going to do that good of a job.
Right.
And with property, everybody wants to have property. Everybody wants something of their own. And in order for that to happen, the government has to allow it to happen.
They got to back off.
They had to back off. They have to back off on the regulations.
Once again, the libertarian idea.
Yeah.
Less government equals prosperity.
Yes.
So, back to the Argentinian president, Milei. He adopted a lot of the Chicago Boys' ideas in Argentina. And in the last 5 years, I think, they've seen a 300% decrease in inflation.
And that probably came from the fact that they cut so much of their spending off of all these departments of this, department of that, Escuela.
Exactly.
And so when you cut this spending that does no good,
right,
your inflation goes down.
Argentina is turning around.
It turns around.
Yes.
We need our country to turn around. I'm tired of spending $7 for a pound of butter.
That's why I'm talking about this. 'Cause this is Trump's plan. He's doing this Chicago Boys plan.
Yeah, and not only is he doing that, but he was also talking about tariffs and possibly eliminating income taxes.
Well, he's doing the same thing with tariffs that he did the first time. He's using them as a leverage tool. He may not actually impose any tariffs, but he's getting somewhere by threatening them. When he talked about the 25% tariff against Canada and Mexico, all of a sudden he had Trudeau and the president of Mexico, I don't remember their name, I think it's a woman, but he had them on the phone with him within hours. And both of them making promises that the things that Trump wants are going to happen. They don't want the tariffs.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. That barking was my dog. I'll introduce her to you guys real quick. Sky. Oh. Sky, come here.
Are you guys done?
No, Sky.
Not quite.
So are you paused?
Yeah.
No.
I'm going to introduce Sky to the audience. All
There
right.
she is.
So this is Sky. She's the barking you just heard. She's a sweet little dog.
She's a Muppet.
She's a Muppet. So if you guys want to see her, there she is. That's the barking. So back to Malays and Afuela and cutting these government.
The problem that the left has with this, is that in the short term, poverty will increase, homelessness will increase, and the left is saying, "Oh my God, we can't do that because poverty will increase." Well, it's in the short term. In the long term, poverty disappears, pretty close to it, because people are given the power to take care of themselves.
Right. And it also allows communities to then flourish and help take care of the poverty stricken.
Right.
Like you look at what's going on with the Hurricane Helene and the resources there. But back to this spending.
Yeah.
So if you look at what our government spends on, and it dumbfounds me on the amount of spending that they have and how we can't get it under control.
They can't even tell us what they're spending it on. Look at the Pentagon. How much money did they lose?
800 billion or something like that, or million.
I think it was 800 million.
800 million.
Yeah, but yet the IRS is going to go after you if you deposit $600.
And I've been seeing some sources say that a lot of the IRS individuals are bunk on their taxes. They haven't been paying taxes, but who's going to audit the IRS on their tax paying?
I read that article too.
Yeah,
and I kind of laughed.
yeah, but it's funny, but at the same time, it's at our own detriment.
Right.
And you almost have to laugh at some of it, because if you didn't, we would go insane.
Absolutely.
Anything more you wanted to talk about with that?
Well, just a couple of talking points. The principles of a dictatorship is top down, right?
Oh yeah.
So the principles of a democracy or a democratic republic would be bottom up,
Right.
which is why Reagan had his trickle down theory.
Trickle down theory works, but it has to work in a free market, and it has to work with.
See, Reagan kind of adopted a little bit of what the Chicago Boys were doing. He didn't fully embrace it.
No, he didn't fully embrace it.
The other world leader that did look at and started to implement some of these ideas is Margaret Thatcher.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. And she fixed the British economy.
Yeah. And it goes
There's a lot
back
of people
to.
that don't like her, but she did some good for that.
Oh, I liked Margaret Thatcher. I didn't have any problems with Margaret Thatcher. And Reagan. There was some things about Reagan I didn't like, but there's a lot of things I really liked about Reagan. The only thing I didn't like was his outlawing machine guns. I'm too young to even think about that, but
But basically, what it comes down to is capitalism will rebound.
Capitalism has to rebound. If not, we're going to too much authoritarianism.
Right. And you hear all these younger people talking about how capitalism is bad, and we can't, they haven't seen it work properly yet.
Well, like we were saying, there's all these regulatory agencies that are regulating these companies and regulating individuals to prevent them from being able to flourish.
Right.
So what Trump's trying to do is he's going to try to deregulate a lot of that to allow flourishing. Now, what we talked about previously in episodes with the Glass-Steagall Act, whenever that was deregulated, it caused other problems.
Right.
But that also is something else. Well, let's just quickly talk about that. I want to get into it real quick. So, Glass-Steagall Act, they deregulated to allow people to get more loans.
Right.
But with that, the individuals who truly got hurt was the banks.
Yeah.
And then when they started failing, it started affecting us. And not only did it affect us through the failure of the banks, but it also affected us with the inflation of housing costs.
Right.
So whenever somebody's able to get a house easily and cheaply with, not putting any down payments on it, everybody's going to be buying homes. So whenever everybody's buying homes, there's less homes in the market, so it allows them to go up in height. That makes them more expensive.
I don't remember. Did we mention why the Glass-Steagall Act came into being?
No, we didn't. The Glass-Steagall Act came into being because of the Great Depression.
Yeah. And what caused the Great Depression was the banks investing in themselves, basically.
Yeah, lending money to people to invest in stock markets. Hey, I'll give you $100,000 if you invest in savings and loan.
Yeah. And next thing you know, the stock market crashes, and the average Joe is walking up to the bank saying, I want to cash my paycheck, and they're like, we don't have any money.
Yep.
And your savings is gone.
Yep. And that's kind of like what our government's doing with spending all this money, because they're not even getting close to that in taxation, which is what we're paying our government to do. So we're paying our government as a lot of money to regulate us and make it harder for us to grow.
And they can't even balance a budget.
And they can't even balance a budget.
And on that note, like, subscribe,
And share.
and share.
Yes.
And comment.
And comment. Comments help us to know what you want to listen to.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.